Hi guys, Kerrod here, back at the beautiful Joondalup Resort in Perth, Western Australia. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about how keeping your head down is ruining your consistency with your ball striking, your accuracy, and your distance. Let's get into it. Now, as a golf professional, I hear a lot of theories and myths surrounding the golf swing, and a lot of it is recreational golfers talking to each other, coming up with some sort of theory or an idea of why they think they might be striking the golf ball poorly. And one of the biggest misconceptions there is keeping their head down throughout the golf swing, and I'm going to talk about why that is ruining your consistency. But before we get into it, please like and subscribe and click that little bell so you get notified of any upcoming videos just like this to help your game in the coming year. So, keeping your head down. Why is this a myth and why is this a misconception? In the golf swing, we need to create some rotation in the backswing and also in the follow through. And when we do that, we need our head to effectively swivel. It's not going to sway in a lateral direction too much, but it definitely needs to swivel to allow and facilitate rotation. If we keep our head too still throughout the golf swing, so effectively keeping it down, that inhibits our ability for our body to make a complete turn on the way back. It's going to inhibit our rotation on the way through, and it causes a lot of follow-on effects with how our arms look and react through the golf swing, and therefore leading to some inconsistency. So golf is a rotary sport, and as such, we want to create a lot of power in that fashion. If I was to keep my head down, looking at this golf ball down on the ground, essentially, I'm not able to rotate as well as I possibly could. So I'm going to give you some understanding and some ideas of how you should allow your head to freely rotate throughout the golf ball to increase your consistency and power. So starting off in the address position here, if I set up to this golf ball and we just look at the backswing checkpoint, if I don't allow my head to move at all, I'm going to get to a certain stage in the backswing of where I can't physically rotate anymore. Effectively, my neck is going to stop my upper body from turning. As a result of doing so, we then see some of the following moves. Either a shift off the golf ball, so players feel like they're trying to finish their swing, or their arms tend to fold up close to their body, giving you a very narrow arc and causing some inconsistency coming down. So we're not going to talk too much about ball flights today. We're just going to keep it simple, talking about how the head works in relation to the body. So if I was then to do the opposite, and I was allowing my head to actually tilt slightly, so as my shoulders turn, my head is slightly rotating. So we're not losing sight of the golf ball. It's still within our focus, but we're certainly not getting fixated on looking at that golf ball. If I allow my head to slightly turn off the golf ball, that frees up my upper body to make a nice complete turn. And as a checkpoint of that, if you were to put your club across your shoulders, make a big turn, we would be looking to get about 90 degrees of shoulder rotation. And that would effectively be a complete backswing turn. Now, if I keep my head dead still as I try and do that, I can only get to about 60 or 70 degrees. Now, my body's going to compensate in other ways, and that's going to lead to more inefficiency with my ball striking. So I want to make sure that I'm trying to max out my rotation as much as possible, and simply allowing your head to tilt slightly as you go back. That doesn't mean that you're taking your eyes off the golf ball, but allowing your head to tilt slightly as you go back will really free up the rotation in the backswing. Now, the same thing applies for the downswing. Now, the challenge with golf is it's not a reaction sport. The ball's on the ground and we need to make that move. However, where a lot of players get mixed up is they start to try and make too much of a hit down towards the ball on the ground and not swinging towards our target. Golf, in fact, would be somewhat easier if the ball was slightly rolling towards us. We were fixated and trying to use our hand coordination to try and time and hit that ball in that direction. If the ball is moving towards us and we know we've got to hit that ball in that direction, we would tend to have a general sense of direction in which we would be stepping and moving and also rotating towards that target. However, when the ball's on the ground and it's just sitting there and it's just looking at us, we get fixated on trying to crush that ball. And generally what happens is when we misstrike it just a little bit due to maybe a plethora of other issues, we tend to think that maybe we lifted our head or our head moved around too much. Now, don't get me wrong, our head wants to stay relatively stable, but that doesn't mean it can't rotate. This is an incredibly important part of being able to turn effectively through the golf ball. So let's demonstrate. If I'm looking down at the golf ball here, And even if I make a good backswing, if I was to start down and I keep my head down in the follow through, well, my neck is going to stop my chest from rotating. That's going to stop my hips from rotating. That's going to stop my arms from extending, and the club's going to fold up, and then I'm going to get some inconsistent results. So actually, by allowing not only our head to slightly tilt in the backswing, but also in the follow through, you'll start to get some freedom with this chest and the hips and really feel like your arms can extend out towards the target. Once again, getting the sensation that we're swinging towards the target rather than swinging down and hitting at a ball. Very important distinction to make. So, setting up next to this golf ball, I'm going to allow my head to slightly tilt in the backswing and allow my head to slightly tilt in the follow through. Now, when you're making some practice swings at first, it's going to feel very awkward. It's going to feel like you're taking your eye off the ball. But effectively, if your head stays in the same position, but you're allowing your head to turn slightly on its axis, you'll find that you're still able to create the same amount of consistency with the strike of the ground, but you'll allow a lot more freedom of rotation, and you'll start to feel some different moves throughout the golf swing, some more speed and power, in fact. Now, if you want to go on YouTube and you want to have a look at some swings of players that do this in an obvious manner, I would look at players like David Duval, Annika Sorenstam, or Dustin Johnson. At the moment of impact, these players have significantly rotated their head, so they're really able to turn their chest and their hips through the golf ball, and that obviously contributes to them being extremely competent golfers who have achieved success at the highest level. So we can take a leaf out of their book and then implement some of that movement into our golf swing. If you feel like you're getting stuck, if you feel like you're keeping your head too still, just allow your neck to slightly turn on the way back, slightly turn on the way through, and just feel some of that freedom in both manners, in the backswing and the follow through, and you might be surprised how much speed you're able to generate through the shot. So I hope you've enjoyed today's video. Please like and subscribe, comment below if you've got any questions. But until next time, I'm Kerrod Gray. Thanks for watching.